Hello, this is Radhaa, your host at Galactic Goddess Podcast, and today we're going to talk about soul contracts. Oh yeah, considering we have a full moon in Scorpio and we have so much going on that is energetically really asking us to look at our personal power, also our soul power, and our soul autonomy, breaking patterns and really reclaiming those parts of us that are asking to receive sovereignty. So as you know, I have a background in healing. I have studied many modalities, certified in over 12, and teacher as well. So, my passion for this work has led me to learn so much about sovereignty, about the soul, about soul contracts, and how we as humans give away our soul power on so many different levels. And so I'm going to walk you through some of the scenarios, as well as some ways that you can reclaim your own soul contract and sovereignty. So let's talk about soul contracts. Now, it's my belief and understanding, and of course, you're free to think anything you want. I'm just sharing my own perspective. But from what I have learned through going through the Akashic records, what I have learned through past life regressions and channelings and different things like that, and my exploration, because I love to explore beyond the circumstances that we are in. A little bit of a dimensional traveler. I've seen many times where my clients have given away some of their soul in relationships. When they incarnated, when we come in, we are already, in a sense, giving some consent that, our sovereignty is somewhat limited in this earth plane. And so I'd have to explain a lot, but, we come in and we sort of put together like a blueprint, okay? And this blueprint, we have guides and we go through it, and it's usually based on our past lives, yes. Our past lives are wonderful blueprints that lead us to our next life that we're going to be creating. So a soul contract would be, okay, in this lifetime, I was a Native American, and I was, oppressed, right? I'm going to use an example from a client that I just worked with because it's right and fresh in my mind. I had a client whom I did an Akashic reading with to do some clearing for her. And what I saw was in a last lifetime ago, she was a Native American chief and was living in, America. And so she was in the time of the colonization where, there was basically, it was somewhat of a genocide, towards the natives. She had her tribe. She was a tribe leader. And it was very emotional because she had wanted to protect her tribe, but she was unable to do this in this lifetime. She was murdered, and so was most of her tribe. Her, like, some of the children and the women, of course, were taken. And so it was interesting how this tied into part of her purpose. And then it brought me back to another lifetime where she was already in Lemuria as one of the early souls here, and she's a very deep and beautiful soul. And so her soul chose to come in as an indigenous. Each lifetime she wanted access to that DNA imprint, and although she had suffered really, really great loss in her lifetimes, let's put it that way, and so in this particular lifetime, she had decided that she wanted to shut down her abilities. She's very powerful, very wise, and able to do these incredible healings, but she wasn't as vocal in this lifetime. She sort of pretended like that wasn't really who she was. It was a very hidden part of who she was. And so there was this fear about speaking her truth, okay? Because standing in her power, standing in her light had cost her life many, many lifetimes, but still she wanted to come in again. And so this energy pattern was there to really teach her something, that it was time for her to break free from these illusions that she had cast upon her. These become what I call soul imprints, where the belief and the actual feeling, the cellular memory, is sticky, and it sticks in your being. And when you get into a situation where you have an opportunity to speak or to step into the light full force, there's a trigger event that occurs where the body will, start to have a fight or flight response, because the body, the soul carries in a cellular memory. It carries in those memories, and the body is working side by side with the soul. So part of that is the body saying, oh, no, we're not going to go through that again. We remember what it went through last time and the time before. We're not going to do that. Not going to step into our light, not going to stand in our power. And in a way, this is where like the soul siphoning really occurs, is where these beautiful, powerful people who are here, who are the light, they end up hiding out because they're very afraid of the consequences of being in their light. They've been trained, lifetime after lifetime, and even energetically stalked in order to repress these aspects, because we are very trainable. We are living in a holographic universe. We are like a computer program, and in our installation, each one of us has a hard drive, and that hard drive is uploaded to the soul. Okay, and so it's a really interesting thing where we carry all of the memory. This is an incredible hard drive that's carrying all the memory from all of our lifetimes, and you have to understand that there are beings that siphon energy. All right, I'm just gonna say it because there's no beating around the bush about this. This is straight up what is going on and what has been going on. You can put any label you want on it. It's just in the dual realm that we're in, there is going to be duality and opposite forces. And in some ways, like the dark forces have had this upper hand for so long, because the problem is we get amnesia when we come into this reality. Soon as we sign up and we drop down into the womb of our mother, we do remember, why we're here. We remember, we know, and even until like 1, 2, and 3, maybe even 4, we do have those soul memories about, wow, this is why I'm here, or this is my purpose. It's very primal, because it's so ingrained into who we are. Those memories, when I came in, I was very much attuned to my light, my purpose, and it wasn't like that it was so conscious, but I did know that I was here with a light, and I was very, very, very aware of this, because I would be able to sense and connect with this energy. And I also had the, soul recognition that like my parents were indeed my parents, and I love them, but they were not like my ultimate parents. Like my family is a star family. We are all star beings, so let's just not, beat around the bush around that either, because it's who we are. We're star beings. And we have very various backgrounds. I've had incarnations in multiple universes, in many different lifetimes, as many different beings, and I'll go into that in another podcast. But for now, we're talking about soul contracts. So, her soul contract was to really overcome this old paradigm and these old beliefs. And so we did some clearing, and I was actually the one that I was sort of crying through the clearing, because I could feel it all. I could feel it so deep in my heart and my soul. It was when I connect with someone in a session, I can feel them. I have access to their energy and their energy field, and if they have tears that they didn't cry, or were frozen, energetically speaking, emotionally frozen, shock and trauma, I do feel that. I do actually experience the sensations in my body, and I do feel that. And I was just, I don't usually cry in my sessions, but I was a little bit moved by the intensity of this particular lifetime, the feeling of being totally helpless, as this tribe was being, overtaken, massacred, and I could feel it. I could feel what the chief was feeling, that he was this leader supposed to protect his tribe, and he felt like a failure, so therefore he won't try again. He doesn't want to step up into that position of power anymore. And so that's how we get these energetic imprints, and we start to create negative soul patterns and soul contracts that say, it's almost like a vow, oath, and commitment that I will never step into my power again, because I know what that means. It means I'm going to get murdered, and so is my family. Cancel, clear. But, that's what the soul, that's sort of like the memory that comes down into the physical body. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example. But we are here to break through these glass ceilings, and break through these soul contracts, and break through this soul power struggle that so many of us have gone through. The people with the brightest light often feel dimmed down in the light, because they didn't feel supported by it. They felt, there wasn't this value placed upon it. This world teaches you gotta get out there and be a winner, and you shouldn't feel too much. And it was, we're not taught to be really aligned with our higher purpose. So therefore we, as a society, are taught like it's more important to be successful than it is to be aligned with your soul purpose, because that doesn't mean anything. So many of our values that we were brought in from other incarnations are, well, they're not always honored, okay? So you have to understand, when we pull back from that, right? Let's pull back from the individual and let's just go right into soul contracts that we make every single day of our life. We're all on Facebook, so we made a soul contract in a way that they would have access to all of our information. Go on a dating website, they have all your information. Go on any app that we use, we are signing, and there's so much small print, but really in so many ways we're consenting to give our power away. And of course we live in a world where we're needing our phones, we're needing our gadgets. I wouldn't be even doing this podcast if I didn't sign off and say yes, I give you permission, but all this intellectual property, who does it really belong to? So you can see that with such things as YouTube, where nowadays they're demonetizing a lot of the people who are stepping into their truth or sharing things if they're not feeling that there's a value there. They demonetize and they get to play God. I had a couple of friends who've had their YouTube channels wiped without 1 ounce of warning. And this podcast has nothing to do with about being paranoid. This is about just really understanding. Okay, it's about being more conscious. And I think it's important to just do what you feel good about, but just understand that we are giving many parts of ourselves away in order to gain access to conveniences. Let's just be honest and say it like it is. No beating around the bush here. So we do this dance, right, where we come in and our soul is a really interesting thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's who we truly are. These bodies, I call them bodysuits because that's exactly what they are. They're bodysuits, and we take the information that we need when we leave with our soul. And the bodysuit gets left behind, but we already are uploaded with all the information that we needed from this lifetime. But we don't want to carry out the shock or the trauma or soul contracts or beliefs that we create. We want to be discerning, and that's why being conscious is really important, because if you understand, then you can make a different choice. It's not saying I'm not going to use Facebook or any of these apps, but also it's about just being conscious. That's really the message here. And so another example of our soul contract or soul fragment, where we lose our soul fragments, right? Because we are a whole, and then pieces go here, pieces go there. Sometimes we trade like, trade this for that. This world is set up so that we are here really to overcome a lot of the old, right? The old archaic system that really is not working in our highest and best good. And we are going through an evolutionary transition. We're going through quantum leap. We are unwinding patterns. We're unwinding programs. We are feeling the pain and the burn of certain information coming to light and understanding, when we take the blinders off, it's going to burn a little bit, but you're going to be happy when you can see and not just have those, like the horses that have their little blinders on the side. In New York, they have those horses and they have the side eye blinders so that they can only see what's right in front of them. But if you want a full periphery vision, you're going to have to look beyond the scope of what you're normally used to. So, take what you want and leave what you don't. But I'm just talking about my experiences, my understandings, and sharing that because I think it's important. We are really entrapped and enwrapped in this AI. That's really something that we've been working with for far longer than I think we really imagined. And this affects us in every area of our life. The algorithms of the words we use, even the voice that goes through our phones and, everything. So I could go into a whole nother tangent about AI and what I understand of their relationship with our soul. But, I'm going to save that for another time. Right now, I want to get back to your own soul power because we are coming into a full moon this Sunday in Scorpio, and this is really about death, right? Death. Scorpio is death and rebirth. It is about recreation, recreating yourself and letting the old die, the old that's no longer serving you. We are born 1,000 times and die 1,000 times in our life if we're lucky, in one life, because we're always shifting, and when we shift our beliefs and let go of what no longer serves us and unwind old soul contracts or release them, then we are now gaining access more and more to our sovereignty. We want to pull back our soul fragments, and that is one of the things that I do as a shamanic healer is I do soul fragment retrieval. We exchange soul fragments in relationships when you make love with somebody, even people that, go through abuse, whether it be verbal, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, or even sexual. There's an exchange of soul fragments. And that's why there's a lot of what I come across in my work, energetic vampires or narcissistic abuse, with the people I work with, because I often work with really highly intelligent, empathic, quite brilliant people who have so much to offer. And so, they are delicious. They're delicious for people who don't know how to generate their own energy. And, we all want to be generating our own energy and connecting with prana, life force energy, and not be taking energy from other people, because that's not sustainable. Okay, that's not sustainable. That's not the way to go. So I do a lot of soul fragment retrieval, and that has to do with gaining back pieces of your soul. And that's another part of the soul contract, because you might get into a relationship with someone and be like, okay, if you love me, then I'm going to give you this part of myself because it's part of my soul, because I think that, there's so many different ways to phrase this, but what I'm trying to say is that there are exchanges made, and they're even subconscious, like one person in a relationship might give away the personal power to the other person in exchange for love. Okay. So, what ends up happening is when and if the relationship is dissolved, two people walk away, one person gave pieces of themselves, or perhaps even both gave pieces of themselves, right? you can't help it. When you have sex, you are exchanging soul fragments. So you always want to get your soul fragment back. Do not leave that behind. It's very important that you get it back. That's why people go crazy for other people. They can't, get them out of their mind, or they get stuck on them, they get hooked on them. And it's because they're actually crying and calling, wanting their soul fragment back, because there's this space inside of them, an empty space, right? So then, in the work I do, it's really quite a shamanic experience where they get to experience getting their soul fragment pulled back and, cleansed and cleared, but then sent back into their being. And it's kind of like Tetris, right? The puzzle piece goes in, boom, boom, boom. They're feeling like whole, or much more whole, because, it's not just one person. We often leave fragments of our soul in many different places, in many different timelines. And I guess I'm a soul gatherer because I help people call back pieces of their soul and bring it back and restore and restructure that aspect of their being. There's so many aspects, the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, etheric, and then we're working with the past, present, future, and parallel lifetimes. So we're really multidimensional beings, and we want to be as whole and complete as we possibly can. And everything we do affects everything outside of us. Everything inside of us affects everything outside of us. It's a ripple effect. If we want to really see these positive changes in the world, we are quite literally going to have to make them within ourselves. And so, what does that look like? What does that feel like? It means becoming as whole as you possibly can. And I'm going to just tell you, you are whole and complete right now. There's nothing wrong. And yet we can always pull and restructure in a way that is even more empowering. Okay. So, why do people have low self-esteem? That has so much to do with soul fragments and soul contracts. It's like the stuff that people go through, it's not necessarily even them. It's not like, oh, you have such a low self-esteem. Well, we have to track back. It's like tracking back. Where did this first happen? Where did you lose a piece of your soul, and to whom? And what was the dynamic? And I have to know, like, who's that person, so I can get it back, You call it back. And it's quite a process. You don't want to just bring it straight back into your body, because it's already embedded with their energy. So it has their gobbledygook. You got to clear that out. It's a really, I say, being a healer, it's kind of a, I'm going to tell you a joke. I always say, like, it's kind of like being a janitor, because you're cleaning up a lot of stuff. It's not a glamorous job, but somebody's got to do it. And that's why, I spent quite a few years, sitting in a chair across from people and doing one-on-one healings, and they were so intense, and I never got tired of it, and I never was afraid of anything that people brought in, because people bring in everything. And for some reason, I am able to be with that, I think it's part of the construct that I have, being a Pisces and then being a double Pisces. Like, I can go to the deepest depths of this universe, and I can also go up to the shallow end too. And I don't have a preference. I do prefer to be in the deeper end, and I enjoy, I enjoy helping people come out of that, and I think that that's one of my gifts. It's something I'm really, really good at, is doing energy work. But, I've evolved, because I really want to help more and more people. And I can do that with my books, creating my workbooks, and then teaching people so that they can really be the master of their universe, because we are all here to master ourselves, right? There is no master outside yourself. A healer is someone that really just guides you back to you and helps you track. I'm a tracker. I'll track back where those pieces were lost. Where are they? Let me find them. I'm a tracker. I'm a galactic tracker. So, it all ties in together. And I've helped people clear soul contracts that they might have made many lifetimes ago. I mean, just an example, if someone was a king, right, or somebody that was in a position of power and wealth and control, and they severely abused that power, control, and wealth and hurt a lot of people, they might incarnate into a life where they do not have that position, or it's hard for them to rise up again, and they sort of might have some poverty consciousness or different things like that, because there is that contract, right? The soul contract that says, hey, I abused my power so bad, I hurt so many people, and now I'm going to be on the other side of that. I have to know how it feels. I want to experience that. And then what happens is there's a loop, right? There's a loop that we create. We create these little loops for ourselves sometimes. And these loops will just sort of regenerate again and again. They're like little patterns. And so we want to move out of those old patterns. We want to break the mold. We want to break the contracts that are not serving our highest and best good. We want to get back our soul power, a soul autonomy, and sovereignty. Okay, so I'm at 31 minutes. So I'm going to keep this shorter so that you can hang in with me. And I want to share with you a protection proclamation that I really love. I'm going to read it out loud to you. Okay, and as I'm reading it, all you have to do is just say yes, okay? Part of this is clearing out interfering energies and, entities and other pesky little things that we no longer agree to, right? So we're unwinding this process. So you can be discerning, you can listen to it once, and if you feel it resonates with you, you can say yes. If you don't, you're free to say no. Remember, you have free will. Use it as you please. So this is called the Protection Proclamation. And there's a part where you're going to say your name, and I'll say state your name, and you can say it out loud. You don't have to say it with me. You can just say, yes, I would like to receive this, okay? And this is my gift to you for the full moon. I'm all about loving and sharing, and my greatest desire and my greatest purpose is really, I love to see people awakening to their own divinity and their own truth and their own magnificence, because we are here to experience also the great aspects of ourselves, to know and remember who we are. We've been many, many things, and we've been programmed by many, many things. And like a computer, most of our installation was programmed by the programmers, right? And so that could be mother, father, lineage, society, group consciousness, wherever we are living, there's like an iCloud, okay? An iCloud of consciousness, and we are all part of that iCloud of consciousness, and we get affected by everything. So other people's thoughts and our thoughts, they kind of merge in this cloud, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we want to kind of start taking some of that down to the trash bin, because you know how it is with cloud. Eventually it runs out of room, you got to pay extra. My computer the other day had so much stuff on it that it wasn't even working, so I had to go and start deleting from my various clouds. I thought Dropbox was one of those clouds that held everything, but no, it's hogging bandwidth. So we want to start eliminating what no longer serves us, and it's kind of like getting down to the essence, getting down to the purity, like a cook who's making an incredible sauce, and they're just stirring it down to the very essence, and that's what makes it so delicious, the purest form of who we are. And we've all had so many lifetimes, so many experiences, so many beliefs that, it takes a while to unravel these, but, part of my life has been devoted to understanding how these paradigms work and how they affect our lives and how we can sort of start cleaning it up. That's important to me. And the work that I do, when people are free and sovereign from the inside, then positive things really start to happen, and you're creating more and more room for more positive things to happen. We're like a vase. We want to put beautiful flowers in. You don't want to have old, ruddy flowers in your vase. You want to take them out, put new, fresh water in, and put the most beautiful, activated, sentient, delicious, fragrant flowers that stimulate your heart, mind, body, and soul. And so you have to take out anything that was there before that's not serving, that's hogging that space, and install something new. Okay, so we are the programmers of ourselves, or we should be. So let's get started, shall we? You can go ahead and lay down in a lying down position with your feet flopped out. If you're sitting up, that's fine too. Just be comfortable and know that this is for you. So I'm just going to read this proclamation prayer and protection out loud. I close all windows, portals, and doorways, allowing another to observe or manipulate my energies as far as they extend, and transmute all energies connected to this experience into the divine expression of creative love. I choose to be well, whole, and perfect of mind, body, and soul. I call forth all controlling energies experienced throughout the journey of my soul and all those connected to these energies. I call forth all aspects of their being, all aspects of my being, and the nucleus of the soul on all levels of consciousness to be present and accept this healing. I call forth all expressions, elementals, thought forms, patterns, and programs to stand before me as I stand before you in love. I ask you to forgive and honor me. I forgive and honor you. I embrace you in love. I thank you for the lessons we have shared. I embrace all bonds between us in unconditional love and transmute all interfering energies into the divine expression of creative love. I call forth all laws I own, all beliefs I have, all vows I hold, all invocations I have made and received, all contracts and agreements which exist creating distortion, illusions, images, holograms, symbols, and psychic messages, causing unrest within my being. I transmute into the divine expression of creative love. I call forth all invasive energies, including thought forms, programs, or substances administered to me or created by me, forming separation, distortion, illness, or illusion within my being. I transmute you into the divine expression of creative love and return you to your creator source to be used only as positive, productive energy. I call forth all cells, creative energies, all personalities and aspects of my being to integrate into my wholeness and align in divine perfection. I call forth all energy forms, creating a response in my being out of alignment with the essence of my soul and my divine truth, and transmute into the divine expression of creative love and return you to your creator source to be used as positive, productive energy. Whatever thought forms or energies I own, encouraging or causing harm to my being, I return to their creator source. All residues I hold within my being, I transmute into the divine expression of creative love to become a powerful, positive, productive energy. I command any energy or programming and administered to me with or without my permission, altering or limiting my ability to freely connect to my mind, body, and soul, and experience my wholeness, be reversed in divine perfection. I proclaim sovereignty. I proclaim dominion over my skills. I claim dominion over my mind, body, and soul. I have grown. I am empowered. I stand in my truth. I call forth and integrate my true identity, expressing itself as, and state your name. I acknowledge all those who share this experience. I offer you this healing. I embrace you in unconditional love and transmute all interfering energies into the divine expression of creative love. I proclaim my peace of mind and the peace of mind for all humanity. And so it is, and so be it. And so it is, and so be it, and so it is, and so be it. Anchor, lock, and seal. Anchor, lock, and seal. Anchor, lock, and seal. And this is a proclamation, prayer, or protection proclamation, however you want to call it, that I love. You know, this isn't the same as doing a session where you really go one-to-one, very deep, and you know, it's quite a different story, but these do really help. So, you know, feel free to just rewind and listen to that again if you need to. And if you're interested in connecting with me, working with me, then I highly suggest you go to goddesscodeacademy.com. I've been really busy with my workbooks and setting up my new programs, so I don't have any of my one-to-one sessions. I took them off last year because I've just been so busy, but I think I'm going to start opening up spaces, so reach out and I will send you information. And I really thank you for connecting with me, for listening. You know, I just love sharing, and with this podcast, I just sort of think of what I want to share and just sort of riff on that, because there's just so much information coming in. Sometimes I'm just downloaded with tons of information all the time, and I'm trying to sort of capture that and share that more and more as I'm digesting it myself and going through these energetic shifts. And I don't know about you, but you know, I've been feeling these galactic waves coming in, and you know, the solar flares and this energy. And what I would say, if you really need to get grounded at this time, you know, make sure you're drinking a lot more water, make sure you're eating the best food you can that's grounding, you know, and start to see and tune into what makes you feel good. You know, a lot of the times we're releasing a lot of the old thought patterns. You know, our digestive tract doesn't want this same old diet. We might not want to watch, you know, highly violent TV shows or movies anymore. You know, your taste in entertainment, and even like the friends that you hang out with might shift, because, it's kind of like escalator where you want to be moving up, and some people are choosing to move down in their frequency. And I would say just take care of you. Take a lot of time for self-care. You are the most important person in your life, and I don't mean that in a way that's negative. It has nothing to do with being a narcissist. It has to do with putting yourself first, creating healthy boundaries, loving and nurturing and nourishing your well-being, so that you can be so attuned into this new energy that's available to us now. It's almost like, how on your phone it says system, it wants to do a system upgrade. It wants to upgrade your phone. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're getting a system upgrade. So you need to be prepared for this. There are symptoms, and I will go into that maybe in the next episode. So tune in. Thank you for joining me, and I'm sending you so much love and light and wonderful, wonderful blessings your way. Okay? So much love, Radha.